So Lander Barton is going to be a tight end for Utah football in addition to his work at linebacker this coming season. Is it a good idea? Well, Lander Barton joins me to discuss on today's Locked On Utes.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If it's your first time tuning into this show, make sure you like and subscribe. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. My name is JT Wistersill. On today's show, interview with Lander Barton coming up. Lander was kind enough to sit down with me, talk about tight end. It's just still so weird that he's going to be a tight end in addition to his work at linebacker. I do think he could work, though. Here are my thoughts on the position change after we hear from Lander first, then talk about a couple things happening in the Utah athletics world, Utah basketball scheduling a big tournament, also Utah Hall of Fame inductees announced. We're going to be talking about that all in a moment. But first, we have to get an interview with one of the best players. I actually do believe he will be one of the best players, not just linebackers. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the Big 12 this season. I'm talking about Lander Barton. Please enjoy my interview with Lander Barton.
Tight end, Lander Barton, joining me. How long has this been in the works?
It's hard to say. I mean, we've had discussions about it for a couple of years, so I think this time it's actually coming to light.
My first ever high school football game I called, I can't remember who you were playing right now. I want to say it was Pleasant Grove, was where you tipped the ball to yourself, picked it off, and then ran it for a touchdown. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was the first game of my senior year. Was it PG?
I think so.
I tipped it? No, I thought it bounced off like the receiver's chest.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah. I do remember that, though.
But so a chance for you to score some more touchdowns this coming season. But what's this journey just been like for you the last 3 years with Utah? And what excites you most for year 4?
I mean, it's been amazing. It's gone by so quick, though. I can't believe I'm already a senior. Like, it's just like that. It's year 4.
It's flown by. What's the biggest difference between year 1 Lander Barton to year 4 Lander Barton?
Everything. I'm bigger. I'm more confident. I know the defense. So, I mean, I've made strides from when I first got here.
For you this coming season, obviously going to be more of a leader as well, too. But what do you just think about this linebacker room as a whole?
It's deep. We got a really good room this year. I'm excited. I mean, we got guys that can play. I mean, John O'Hall, he has a year under his belt, finally playing linebacker. I mean, he's going to make some plays this year. He's going to be fun to watch. Levani DeMooney's coming back off of injury. I'm just happy to see him healthy and even more happy to see him on the field this year. And even Trey Reynolds, he's going to be a good player. He's smart. He's gritty, and he can stick people.
You lost a lot on defense, veteran-wise. Do you feel like this defense, second in the Big 12 last year, do you feel like there's going to be any drop-off? Or do you feel like you guys are going to be even better this year? If so, why?
There's no drop-off. I think we should excel this year. We lost some vets, but we still got a lot of vets on the defense and a lot of new faces that are really good players. Able to watch them in the spring and even watch their tape, guys that weren't here in the spring, so I'm excited for them.
Is this something you guys talk about in the locker room, wanting to send potentially Kyle out? He hasn't said this is last year, but he's alluded to, hey, he's winding down. Is that one of the goals for you guys, is to try and have a strong season and potentially send him out?
I mean, we want a strong season every year. And if this is Coach Witt's last year, then we might as well send him out with a bang.
Favorite play you've ever made while at Utah?
Favorite play? I got to go with, favorite play ever?
Ever. You've started for 3 years now, so you got a large list to choose from.
I would say my first pick 6 versus Weber State, because that was like my first true big moment in a game. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Are you going to keep the streak of live pick 6s this year?
That's the goal.
Lander Barton, thank you so much. Appreciate you jumping on.
All righty. Greatly appreciate Lander Barton for taking the time to stop by Locked On Utes. Lander was one of the final people I was able to interview there. It was awesome to get to talk to the Utah football players. Didn't quite get to sit down with Devin Damp here, but I did get to, for 10 seconds talk with him, and I'm just very excited. And you can just see the magnetism, the leadership, all the things, even in my brief snippet of okay, this is why this guy's going to be a dude for the Utah football team in the 2025 season. But, as Lander was talking about his change to tight end, it got me thinking or remembering, and Kyle Whittingham said this too, right, that Lander did play tight end. And it's true. He did play tight end in high school at Brighton High School. I brought up how I saw him with an incredibly athletic pick six at 1.2. And I do think Lander's a guy who's ready to be more involved at tight end too, right? He is a guy with at the high school level. His last year when he was at Brighton High School, he had 37 receptions for 416 yards, 8 touchdowns. A game against Orem, he had 7 catches for 82 yards for a touchdown. These stats coming to us from the Deseret News. Does a great job keeping up to date with all the high school stats. Also, you have East High School, 6 receptions for 93 yards, a touchdown. How about 6 for 91 against Olympus? So he's a monster. I mean, he's a great football player, right? So like any position Utah throws him at, he's going to be able to succeed. I'm curious to see how much we see of him at tight end, just because, look, obviously none of us love the tight end options that Utah has this season, but Otto Tia is going to be a better pass catcher than Lander Barton. So on every 3rd and long, I'm going to want Otto Tia out there. Hunter Andrews, I'm intrigued by him. I think he could be a guy for this Utah football team at tight end. And Dallin Bentley is a better blocking tight end to me, and guy who can do certain things as a receiver as well. So to me, like, how much do we see Lander? I'm very interested to see, but he's an incredible athlete and he's a really good football player. He's produced at this level before. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the height. So if they think he can help him out at the tight end position, who am I to question? Especially if this was like Fred Whittingham Jr.'s call, right? With all he's done with the tight end room, like, how am I going to debate that? And I think it's a good move for Utah football overall. I do think it's a guy that he's a talented player. So if you think that you can unlock that high school talent he had at tight end, we know how good of a linebacker he is at the college football at just a P4 level. How good of a tight end can he be? Utah wants to find out. I like it. So very interested to see how this experiment will turn out with Lander Barton, but looking forward to what he's going to bring to Utah football as an offensive player, in addition to his work as a defensive player. I want to talk about a few more things that Lander said, and then as we talked about off the top, got to get into some Hall of Fame stuff and some more interesting things happening in the world of Utah athletics. So we're going to be diving into all of that momentarily. But first, today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our great friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're always following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel a little bit more like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. You can head over to FanDuel to get in on the action now. Once again, big thanks to Lander Barton for being kind enough to join me on Locked On Utes. A couple of the interesting things he talked about was he talked about the journey, just how great it's been, and just talked about, hey, it's blown by so fast. It's an interesting thing, right? Because when someone says, hey, Lander's going into his senior year at Utah football, it feels like, gosh, that flew by quickly. But at the same time, doesn't the 22 season feel like a very long time ago when Utah won that last Pac-12 title, Lander's freshman year? So that's just one of the things I think is interesting. Is it's like, yeah, it feels like it's been a very long time since we've talked about Lander Barton being a guy who just committed to Utah and playing as a freshman. But it's interesting, right? Because it feels like it's been a long time since those Pac-12 title runs, but it also doesn't feel like it's been that long we've been watching Lander Barton play. So here he is with his senior year, and he says it's been a great journey that's blown by fast. He said he's more confident just in himself and the defense too, and what he's doing out there. And I mean, you could see at times last year, it didn't look like he was always confident, but they were asking him to do some different things, I would say, overall, too. He didn't look like the Lander Barton we've known for majority of the games. Some of the games he was good, but I think was asked to do some different things, too. And, we talked about how this linebacker room, too, it's a deep room, right? You got Jonathan Hall, and he even mentioned a year under his belt that it's going to be fun to watch him, getting Levi back healthy out there. They really missed him last year, Leavani Damuni. And then you get Trey Reynolds, too, as a nice depth piece, as that fourth guy who can come in and play a lot, too, depending on the injuries, too. So I feel really good about the linebacker room. Honestly, if you're doing the rooms I feel best about, I said this on an episode that's going to come up. If you're going to ask me which room I actually feel best about, it's actually not offensive line, it's safety. Some of you might think that's crazy, but I look at it like this. If we're going to do offensive tackles, yeah, obviously I love the offensive tackles, but the totality of the offensive line, I feel slightly worse about that than I do Utah safety. I think Rabbit Evans and Teo Johnson are going to be one of the best safety combos in the country. I think the Utah offensive line could end up being a top 10, top 15 offensive line, but I do have questions about the interior offensive line. And I have more questions about the interior offensive line than I do the two safeties that Utah has. But either way, like linebacker would be probably the third position that I have the most confidence in. I mean, running back, I do feel good about quarterback, even though there is a jump there, but linebacker's right there. When you look at all that Lander's accomplished, Jonathan Hall and the plays he made, Leovani's experience, some of the depth pieces there too. It's not even mentioning a Thatcher or a Cyrus Polo, who I do think could play a role on this team for the upcoming season as well. So just a good group. I like it a lot. And I did ask Lander too, like, hey, is there going to be a drop off this year? And he said there shouldn't be any drop off. We lost some vets, but we still have several other veterans that are returning too. That's the thing I'm just very interested to see. Is this Utah defense really going to have no drop off, especially because of what they lost along the defensive line? Like a reminder, this is what Utah lost on their defensive line. They lost what I would argue are their three best defensive tackles. If you want to say that Aliki Vaimahi was better than Samote Pepa last year, like, sure, that's fine. But undoubtedly, Junior Tafuna, Keanu Tanavasa were the top two. Then you lose Pepa. Then defensive end-wise, you lose Van Fillinger and Connor O'Toole. Those were two of your three best defensive ends. And last year, I think a fully healthy O'Toole was their best, but Van was really good too. And Logan Fano was good last year, but I think we're all hoping to see a little bit more. I mean, but he did spend last offseason rehabbing and recovering and not just able to get after it and training to get better rather than just recovering. So I am expecting a better year for him too. And he was still good last year, but like we said, it just wasn't, I didn't feel like Logan Fano was a game changer out there for Utah football always. And I would love to say that this year. I think that'd be something that would be really cool. But it's just hard for me to see this Utah defense, I think was second in the Big 12, finishing second again or better, just with that many questions along the defensive line with a couple of the really strong and stout players they lost. I mentioned the defensive linemen, and I think Utah can overcome the losses, but Cameron Calhoun, Zamaya Vaughn, Karenni Reed, Alakai Gilman in a way, even though I obviously said I really like the safeties, but that's just a lot. You lose a lot in college football, but especially some of those guys, Reeds, Vaughn, the D linemen, like those guys have been a part of this team's success for a long time. And I don't necessarily feel like as we sit here right now that I look at and go, oh yeah, Utah has players better than all of those guys ready to step up and replace them. I don't feel like that's the case too. So other thing he talked about was how I asked about like, hey, do you want to send Kyle Whittingham out? And he's like on a good note. And he said, we always want to be good. And that's a great point too, right? Like from a narrative perspective, we look at it and we go, they want to send Whit out on a good last year. At least we think it'll be Kyle's last year, right? Always hard to tell right now, but these guys aren't thinking about that. They're just trying to go out and have a great season. Because honestly, it's Lander's last year too. Like that's another point that I didn't even think about that too. Is I'm sure an extra motivation is to try and send Kyle out on top. And honestly, these guys want to go out on top themselves. The guys like the Lander Bartons, the seniors. So that was something interesting that he mentioned too. Favorite play was the first pick six against Weber State. I think that makes total sense. Anytime you can get like your first moment like that, hear the roar of the crowd all over a singular play you made. That's something that's pretty special there too. He did say his goal would be just to get another conference championship. And I love that. I mean, it's been a couple-year break. He's had to endure some not great offensive performances since Cam Rising was last healthy his freshman year. So I would love to see him be able to get that championship, to get to the playoff, do something this team hadn't done before. And I think they got a chance to do that. So going to be interesting to see how it all ends up shaping up for the Utah football program. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can do because, as I mentioned, I think it's going to be some really good and big things for them coming up. So once again, thanks to Lander Barton. Great getting to talk with him. And Lander Barton's a guy I really think he's going to have a chance someday to be in the Hall of Fame for Utah Athletics. Speaking of the Utah Athletics Hall of Fame, they announced several new members for their 2025 Hall of Fame class. Several memorable names as part of this Hall of Fame class. Star Lutulele being the top one. You got Nate Orchard on there too for football. It's CJ Cron for baseball, Georgia DeBritz for gymnastics, Kem Gardner, contributor, Brent Lund for men's skiing, Ashley Mason for women's soccer. So several individuals going to be mentioned and put into the Hall of Fame. Let's start with those football guys. Star Lutulele being the first one, was at Utah from 2010 to 12, a 2012 first-team All-American, first-team All-Associated Press, Walter Camp, Athlon Scout, FoxSports.com, second team CBS Sports. So just basically everything, right? You got the 2011 Morris Trophy winner, too, is the best defensive lineman in the Pac-12. Two-time first-team All-Pac-12 selection. Racked up 22.5 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks, 7 sacks, 5 fumble recoveries, and 4 forced fumbles over his career. I'm always a big forced fumbles guy. Like, that just shows you what a thumper he was, too. Even a defensive lineman, just a guy who can obviously lay the boom. First-round NFL draft pick, 14th overall by 2013 to the Panthers. A full-time starter for his first 17 NFL seasons. And it was also with the Bills for a few years too, but just an incredible career. And he was a guy who was so dominant when he was at Utah too, as a run stuffer and as a pass rusher too, right? Just an incredible athlete, a mauler in the middle of the field, and a guy who was exactly that when he got to the NFL too. Especially, he was more of a run stuffer than anything I'd say at the NFL, but still was able to provide a pass rush presence. And obviously at college, he was just unstoppable and deserves to be in this Hall of Fame recognition. Really excited that he's getting his due, just like Nate Orchard deserves, right? A 2014 first team Walter Camp, Football Writers Association of America, ESPN.com, Phil Steele, Scout.com, SB Nation, Second Team AP, Sporting News, USA Today, and Fox Sports. He was the 2014 Ted Hendricks Award winner. He won the 2014 Morris Trophy, which is what, as we just mentioned, Star won, but he won it for football. Tied for 5th in school history and career sacks with 25 and holds the single-season school record with 18.5 sacks in 2014. First-team All-Pac-12 and drafted by the Browns in the second round of the 2015 NFL Draft, would go on to play 7 seasons. The mayor of Sac Lake City, one of the several that they've had, Nate Orchard, was, another guy, just a terror coming off the edge, incredibly athletic, good power too, and another layup, in my opinion, to go into the Hall of Fame, right? So really excited to see him. As for the other members, you got Ashley Mason from the women's soccer team, first team all-region. She was at Utah from 2003 to 2006. Career goals allowed and shutout leader for Utah soccer, helped lead Utah to 4 consecutive NCAA tournament berths, part of the Utah team that reached the NCAA second round in 2006. Also a key figure on the teams that won 3 Mountain West Conference regular season titles and 2 Mountain West Conference tournament championships, 2003 and 2004. If you guys do want to learn more about these Hall of Famers too, make sure you head over to the Utah Athletics website there. Also, you have Bernd Lund, the men's skiing NCAA cross-country individual champion. So anytime you get a chance to put a national champion, you're obviously going to do that. He was a 4-year All-American and a key part on the NCAA championship winning team in 1981 and in 83. Men's only in 81, men's and women's combined in 83. And also men and women combined in 84. So another layup to get in there as well. And you get a guy like CJ Cron for baseball, first team All-American in 2010 and 2011. Would love to see a guy with his ability back on the baseball team. Hopefully the move up to their new venue that's close to campus will help that program out too. 2011 National College Baseball Writers Association District 8 Player of the Year. 2010 National College Baseball Writers Association District 8 Player of the Year. Golden Spikes Awards semifinalist too. Mountain West Conference Player of the Year in 2010 and 2011 as well. Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year. He was part of the team that won the Mountain West Conference Tournament Championships in 2009. The highest draft pick of a Utah baseball player. He was 17th overall in the first round. Also an MLB All-Star in 2022. So really cool for Cron to be able to get into the Hall of Fame, and another one that was obviously well-deserved and coming for a long time, just as was the case with Georgia DeBritz, a 16-time All-American. You heard that, right? 16-time, 8 NCAA, 8 regular seasons, tied for the most in a career by a Utah gymnast. The 2015 Pac-12 Tom Hansen Conference Medal, 2015 NCAA champion on uneven bars, runner-up in 2013, first team All-American, helped the Red Rocks to finish number 2, 8-time NCAA regional champion, 6-time Pac-12 champion, helped lead the Red Rocks to Pac-12 titles in 2014 and 2015, first 2 by the Utah Sports Program 2, 3-time Utah Gymnastics Team MVP, won every major Pac-12 gymnastics award. So that's pretty impressive, right? First gymnast in NCAA history to score a 10.0 on bars in both the NCAA semifinal and the Super 6 at well. So yeah, pretty good, put it lightly. And then you also get a guy like Cam Gardner, who gets in for his significant contribution, a Utah alumni, a community leader, and community volunteer and philanthropist, a longtime significant contributor to Utah athletics, one of the top donors in the University of Utah's history, too. He has supported a number of Utah athletics initiatives, from scholarships to facilities. Got the naming right on a couple things too, right? Like the legendary Coaches Wall in Rice-Eccles Stadium, also the Legacy Hall inside the Huntsman basketball facility. He's provided remarkable support to Utah, the University of Utah beyond athletics, including setting up a Utah Fremont public policy institution. So a lot of great contributions have come from the Gardner family, and Ken Gardner being one of the ones who was a pioneer for this Utah athletics team. So those are the Hall of Famers, a heck of a class in 2025 for this Utah athletics program. Several Hall of Famers, obviously, that I just listed there and are all Hall of Famers. And a sport that we hope has some Hall of Famers coming back up here soon is Utah men's basketball. They are going to be playing in a pretty significant preseason tournament, the Acrisure Series, which will take place November 25th through the 28th, 2025. It'll be in Palm Desert, California. Some of the teams outside of Utah in attendance are going to be the likes of Iowa, Ole Miss, GCU, Colorado, Washington, Nevada, Syracuse, Minnesota. Some of the biggest ones, Loyola Chicago, also going to be there. Utah will take on San Jose State. That is not Utah. That was Tulane. Utah will take on Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, good hoop school too, at 9 p.m. So that'll be on, I think that is California time too. So a little bit of a later game for Utah. And they are also going to get the winner. I believe they are guaranteed the winner of, or at least they're guaranteed another game. I know that much. They are guaranteed the winner. I just lost it, actually. I'm ashamed to say that. But they are guaranteed the winner of, I think it's Ole Miss and someone else. So get a game there for Utah into, and just exciting that Utah is getting a little bit more of a basketball footprint in some of these bigger tournaments. Often these types of tournaments overlook Utah, right? And I think it's cool that Utah is getting the invite, getting an opportunity to compete in a tournament like this, because I do think this is a Utah basketball team that has a chance to step up. And they've been putting out some fun off-season content too. We really got to really like what Alex Jensen's been doing with this roster. It's a talented one. I love the coaching staff, and just Utah basketball is heading in the right direction. It definitely feels like that. Whether or not it all works this year, I don't know that, but I do feel like this team is going in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in the 2025 season. But really excited for Utah to be in a tournament like this, where, hey, if you want to make the NCAA tournament this year, win games against other teams on here, a lot of who I think will be NCAA bubble teams, or just, games against other conferences. You want to strengthen the Big 12's resume in case as the best conference in college basketball. They're going to try to take that back from the SEC next year. Win these games, beat these teams. And I think that'd be big for Utah if they can do that. Easier said than done with such a new roster, but honestly, that's college basketball. A lot of new rosters all over the place. So looking forward to seeing what Alex Jensen and this Utah basketball roster can do, but love that they're getting involved in these tournaments. They've really been kind of blowing up over the last couple of years. Like, these tournaments have just been becoming a bigger deal. And I think it's cool that Utah is now a part of that, and something that's, as we just said, becoming a bigger deal too. So really looking forward to seeing what Utah basketball can do in one of their tournaments to begin play in the 2025 season. That's going to do it for this week on Locked On Utes. Really appreciate all of you for hanging out with me all week long. If you're in the market for a second listen, Locked On College Football has you covered, as well as all of our Locked On shows here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Next week, still tons of interviews to get to from Big 12 Media Day. Lots of great conversations I'm excited to share with you guys, including one from a former NFL player. Tune in next week if you want to see what I'm talking about. Thank you guys for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day, and we look forward to talking more Utah football with you next week. Season getting closer and closer. Actually, next week, we are officially a month away from game day. Can't wait. Going to be doing a fun preview thing for that matchup as well, too. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week on Locked On Utes. Have a great weekend, everyone.